I am Abhishek Gupta from IIT Kanpur. I am going to present the paper titled Does Blockage Correlation Matter in the Performance of Millimeter Wave Cellular Networks, co-authored by me and Saurabh Gupta. One of the main challenges of millimeter wave is its high sensitivity to blockages. Millimeter wave signals can be blocked by buildings, foliage, humans, and even the user's own body. It has been estimated that the blockage from a single human can result in 20-30 dB loss in the signal strength. Therefore, it is very important to include the impact of blockage into the analysis. Most analytical work model blockage by a Boolean process, where they model blockages as a union of random objects with their center distributed as Poisson point process. These work focused on computing the Sina and rate distribution of a typical user in a millimeter wave network. However, most of this work assumed that blocking of links are mutually independent, which means that a link is blocked independent of other links. This assumption works when blockages are relatively small. However, in a scenario when there are large blockages, a single blockage can block multiple links. For example, the link from this base station is blocked. If you consider another base station close to it, it will also be blocked. In such cases, blockage correlation should be included in the analysis. In this paper, we explore whether such correlation matters in the analysis of millimeter wave networks and whether inclusion of correlation in the analysis will change the SINR results. We will start with the system model. We assume that the base station locations are distributed as a Poisson point process with density lambda. We consider a typical UE at the origin. We model blockage as a Boolean model. For simplicity, we consider linear blockage with random length and orientation. And their centers are distributed as PPP with density mu. Now for a link, if there is no blockage falling on it, it's a line of sight. Otherwise, it's a non-line of sight link. Let us first see how blockage probability is computed for a single link. Consider a link between a base station and a UE with link length r. For now, consider blockages with a particular length L and orientation delta only. If we place these blockages at different locations, we can see that there is a region where the blockages center should not fall, otherwise they will intersect the link, which is the shaded region here. It is a parallelogram with length L and R and angle delta between them. If blockage centers fall outside this region, they will not intersect the link. The area of this region is RL sine delta. Let us call it A. Since centers are PPP with density mu, the probability that they won't fall in it is given by the void probability, which is exponential minus A mu, which can be written as exponential minus CR, where C is some constant. If we now include all blockages, we get an average version. In particular, the line of sight probability is equal to exponential minus beta r. Here beta depends on the blockage parameter. It is given as 2 mu expected value of blockage length divided by pi. So it depends on blockage average length and the density mu. Similarly, the probability that the link is blocked is 1 minus exponential minus beta r. Now consider an example with these two links from two base stations. The line of sight probability of these links are exponential minus beta r1 and exponential minus beta r2, which means that each link can be line of sight or non-line of sight independently with these probabilities. However, if the below link is non-line of sight, it means that there is a blockage in between. Therefore, there should be a high probability that the other link is blocked also. This example shows that there is a joint probability of both links being blocked or line of sight, especially when these links are close to each other. The probability was computed in a past work in the following way. Consider two base stations at distance r1 and r2 from the user at angle theta. Now if we consider blockages with a particular length L and angle delta, the shaded region denotes the region where the blockage center should not fall to avoid blocking any of the links. The area is given by this expression. Averaging this, we get the joint probability that both links are line of sight. Note that since this area is less than the sum of areas of individual parallelograms, the joint probability is more than the product of individual line of sight probabilities of the two links. This implies that conditioning on one base station being line of sight increases the other base station's line of sight probability. We now present the channel model considered. Consider the link between UE and the ith base station. Suppose its type is SI. SI variable can be line of sight or non-line of sight. The received power at the user Pi is equal to the product of fading Hi and the path gain. We consider Rayleigh fading for simplicity. Path loss function is different for line of sight and non-line of sight links. For line of sight, path gain is CL into R to the power minus alpha L, where CL is the near field gain and alpha L is the path loss exponent. Similarly, for non-line of sight, it is Cn into R to the power minus alpha n. The association is highest average received power base, which means user is connected to the base station, providing highest path gain. Now we will compute the serving distance distribution. Consider a base station at location X. For the base station to be serving line of sight base station, the following three conditions must hold. The base station must be a line of sight base station. The probability of this is PLX. Then there must not be any line of sight base station closer than X. Probability of this is given by this. Note that here we have condition on the fact that the base station at X is line of sight. Hence the other line of sight base station form a PPP with density lambda into conditional probability of being line of sight, which is PLL divided by PL. And then there must not be any non-line of sight base station at a distance less than ENL X. ENL X represents the equivalent distance for a non-line of sight base station to provide the same power at the user as a line of sight base station at X distance. The probability of this occurring is this. Hence, combining the three probabilities, we get the probability that a base station at X is line of sight and serving base station. Similarly, we can compute for non-line of sight serving probability also for this base station. Now we want to compute the probability that the serving base station is line of sight and at a distance more than r. We denote it by capital GLR. If we go to each base station and ask whether it is line of sight and serving and has more distance than r, only one base station at max can satisfy this condition. Hence, the expectation of the sum should give the value of capital GLR. Using Campbell theorem, it is given as the integration over region outside the ball of radius r of the probability that a base station at X is serving and LOS. This probability we just calculated in the past slide and is denoted by the small glx. Hence, we get the expression for capital GLR. Now, if we put r equal to 0, we get the probability that the serving base station is line of sight. Also, the serving distance PDF can be computed by differentiating the conditional distribution of capital GLR. Now, suppose that the serving base station is at r distance from the user and has type S. The SINR is given as serving power, which is fading H0, into path gain at r divided by IL, which is the interference by line of sight base station, In, which is the non-line of sight interference, and noise sigma square. Now, given that the serving base station is S-type and it is at distance r, the probability that SINR is above tau is given as this expression. Using the fact that H0 is exponential random variable, this can be computed as product of the following three terms. The first term is due to noise. The second term is the Laplace transform of line of sight interference, and the third term is the Laplace transform of the non-line of sight interference. Now the remaining step is just to compute these Laplace transforms. For this, note that conditioned on S-type serving base station at distance R, the V-type base stations form a PPP with non-homogeneous density. In particular, the density at point T is equal to the base station density lambda into the conditional probability of base station at T being V-type given base station at R distance is S-type. Now also no base station can lie inside the exclusion region EVS-R. Scene interference can be written as a sum of function over all these base stations. Its Laplace transform can be computed by the PGFL of PPP, which is given as this expression. Substituting all this back, we get the coverage probability, which is nothing but the probability that the assigner at the typical user is above the threshold tau. We also consider a special case of network with line of sight links only, that is Cn is equal to 0. In this case, the coverage probability is given by this simpler expression. Further, we can also compute the bounds for this case. Note that the joint LOS probability under the independent blocking assumption is a lower bound on the actual joint LOS probability. Therefore, using this in place of actual joint probability will give an upper bound for small JLR and the coverage probability. Similarly, the joint LOS probability for the case when average blockage length is very large is an upper bound to the actual joint line of sight probability. Hence, using this in place of the actual expression will give a lower bound on the coverage probability. We can also compute bounds on the lower bound on JLR computed in the last slide. So the expression of the lower bound on small JLR was given by this. There is a function sin square theta here. We can note that sin square x in the interval 0 to pi by 2 can be bounded linearly as these two lines y equal to mx and y equal to 1 plus mx minus pi by 2, where m is 1.38. Using these two bounds, it's possible to get simpler form of bounds on this function. One is given by G1R and the second one is given by G2R. Now we present some numerical results. We consider blockages with large average blockage length. The simulation parameters are as given. Beta is equal to 0.021 meter. Blockage density is taken as 220 blockages per kilometer square. The base station density is taken as 30 per kilometer square. And we consider line of sight only links. And the path loss parameters are CL is 10 to the power minus 3 and path loss exponent for line of sight link is 2.2. First, we show the variation of capital JLR, which is the probability that the line of sight serving base station is farther than distance R. We also plot this value as calculated with independent blocking assumption and the infinite blockages assumption, and we compare it with the simulated case. We see that the simulated value is between the two bounds. Moreover, independence blocking assumption overestimates the value of capital JLR. For the same simulation parameters, we now plot the assigner coverage. We also plot its value computed under the independent blocking assumption and the infinite blockage length assumption. We can see that the independence blocking assumption overestimates the assigner coverage and the real assigner coverage is below it. We would like to conclude this presentation by stating our key result that considering blockage correlation is important for the accurate characterization of the assigner distribution in a millimeter wave network, especially when blockages tend to be large.